the channel. I know last week I said that I would go over my postpartum experience more in depth in terms of what I was eating and how it affected me and all of that. I'm going to push that to next week because I wanted to actually just set the groundwork for why freshly milled grain is so important and kind of review some myths around it that I think are important to iron out before jumping into the more in-depth story time of my postpartum experience. So today we're going to cover the 5, there's probably more than 5, but 5 myths that I could think of when it comes to milling our own grain. Now, of course, this used to be the norm prior to industrialization. Nowadays, this seems like a weird or involved process of milling our own grain. It sounds kind of antiquated and what's the point, and etc., etc. But luckily we have people like Sue Becker, who I consider to be the matriarch of the modern day freshly milled grain movement. I think she started back in the 90s with her own family. She has a YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure she does cookbooks. They have a brick and mortar store. So she's been a great resource, and the reason I actually started this muffin recipe that you'll see in this video is because of her. She said, start with something simple, and muffins are pretty foolproof. So I made freshly milled EINKORN muffins that I keep on hand actually. So I have one with my breakfast pretty much every morning. My husband grabs one. Yeah, the whole family loves these. So let's just get right into these myths. The first one is that a grain mill is extremely expensive. And that's not entirely a myth. There are mills, the very nice ones, that work super quick. They are expensive. I think like between $300 and $800. So that's not exactly a cheap ad to, include in your kitchen repertoire, and I get that. The one I have is a KitchenAid attachment. I think it was around $140 when my husband gifted it to me 2 years ago or a year ago. Now I do think the price jumped a bit. So I'm not saying that it's a $20 and you can have a great meal, but $140 compared to $600 and $800 is different. So I would say, you don't have to jump into those higher end meals right away if you're interested in trying them out. And I know a lot of people will get their meals secondhand, even like Facebook Marketplace, things like that. So when there's a will, there's a way. It does not have to break the bank. The second myth is that there's no time to mill. And I think people think that they have to mill like 50 pounds of grain at once, and that would defeat the purpose of the health benefits of the freshly milled grain. So no, you need, with my mill, it takes 10 minutes or so, depending on how much grain I need for that recipe. So if you can buffer in an extra 10 to 20 minutes of grain milling when you have a bake day, I don't think that that's crazily time consuming. Now, the more higher end mills do mill pretty quickly, like instantly. I've seen them on other YouTube channels and it's awesome. And one day I will upgrade, but for now, this KitchenAid attachment works and it does not add a ton of time to my cooking and baking. The third myth, I'm not even sure if this is a myth, but hesitation, I would say, is people are concerned that their family won't like the taste of freshly milled grain. Now, if you go from a white flour, store-bought all-purpose flour, to something like a hard red wheat or even an EINKORN or spelt, yeah, those are going to taste different. We really like the taste of EINKORN, so I use that, and I use hard white. But I would say that a hard white wheat has the most similar taste to an all-purpose flour you get from the store. So if that's a concern with your family, start with the hard white, ease them into the different grains if you want to. I know that they have higher nutritional values, but I wouldn't hold back just because of fear of taste, especially when hard white and soft white wheats, in my opinion, don't taste too different. The fourth myth is that it's too difficult. So freshly milled grain does not behave the same as an all-purpose processed flour does. And that is true, but too difficult is relative, right? So it just takes a learning curve, and luckily there are so many resources out there, whether it be YouTube or cookbooks, even, the AI tools. I've gotten some great recipes and insights asking for help on there. So yes, it is difficult because it's different, but I wouldn't say it's too difficult and out of the realm of possibility just because it's hard, right? So we can do hard things, we can adapt, we can learn. And I think the more you play around with it, the easier it gets. Like now I don't really stress too much and worry about recipes turning out because I've learned over time. The fifth myth is that this is trendy and maybe it's not even worth the hype. And I vehemently disagree with that. Trendy or not, it is fully worth the hype in terms of health benefits alone. We are not inflamed, our guts are not irritated, and eating grains this way, the way they were meant to be consumed, fills us with all the nutritional value that it comes with compared to the processed grains. So 100% no, not overhyped, and I could not recommend it enough. So I hope that in some way or fashion you all will include freshly milled grains into your diets, and you can always refer to YouTube or other resources for help getting started with that.